I wanted to just talk a little bit about my upcoming workshop. I have a workshop that I'm doing, and I'm doing it monthly, but it's called Permission Revoked, the midlife identity reset for women done asking permission to want more. And so the reason that I created these workshops is because I started going through my own journey in midlife. I am 58. No, I'm 57 years old, my 58th year. I started going through my own challenge. And as I went through those challenges and as I was able to navigate so many of them, as I was able to navigate so many of them, um, I started thinking about how I could help other women because I started meeting women. I started having women in my sessions that were dealing with this issue of having to ask for permission. And so typically at midlife, even so many of us are shrinking and we are, to me, it's like we are hiding in plain sight. And so I started working on this session, and it actually came from my people pleasing playlist that I did on YouTube. And so I did a whole round of videos on people pleasing, the sacred yes, the sacred no, um, all of these things around people pleasing, self sabotaging, all the things that play into that we often don't know. Hello, Christine. Thank you for joining. We often don't know, you know, what all of that entails. And we also don't realize that we've been so conditioned. And so I love to talk about it. And in this workshop, we're going to talk about the subtle ways that you're abandoning yourself politely. And most of these things are things that we've been taught. They're things that we have been conditioned to believe, and so many things like that are not true and don't have to be true for you. I say to my children, I said that you always learn by experience, but it doesn't have to be yours. Okay. And this is what I've told them this since they were children. I said, you are going to learn by experience, but it doesn't have to be yours. You can listen to other people's stories and learn in that way and decide that that is not going to be your experience. That's not going to be your life. And I talk about also why midlife confusion is usually avoiding consequence. It's not making the decision because you don't want to deal with the consequence. So if you're at a place in your life where you're wanting to start a business or you're wanting to do a podcast or create something, but you're at this place where you're working this job that is sucking the life out of your soul, and all you can think about is how can I do something that I enjoy doing? And so at that point, we like to claim, and I'm guilty. I've been there, and I'm going through it actually, but I've been there, and I understand you like to claim that you're confused, but you're not confused. You know what you want. The thing is, are you going to do the things necessary that are going to help you to move the needle in that area? And so I also talk about the shift required to reclaim your authority, because really that's what it is you, reclaiming your authority. And a lot of times when we get in relationships, sometimes they are amazing and wonderful and good, but sometimes they overpower us and who we are. Sometimes we get in relationships and we change who we are. We're not even the same people that we were in those relationships. And you don't even know who you are. So now right now I've been watching this soap opera, the new soap opera Beyond the Gates. Y'all, I realize now why I stopped watching soap operas. There's so much drama, and sometimes those people are so stupid, and it's like they can't see what's right in front of their faces. And so as women, we deal with that right there, because we claim confusion, but the thing is right in front of our face. It's right there. If you've been at a place where you put it out in the universe, there's content that's coming to you around that on these social media platforms that we use. You know, YouTube, everything is listening to us. So if you put that out there in the universe, then your experiences are going to be like that because that's what you put out. And so um, I also realized that so many things that we deal with, are trapped in our body, and they're in our bodies, in our chakra systems, in our bodies. It manifests as dis-ease, autoimmune conditions, the big C. There are so many things that, this type of conditioning has caused us. And so, what I do in this workshop is I do some somatic work. We're going to do some short guided meditations and activations. And I want us to be able to release some of those things that are in our system that we've been conditioned. And as women, y'all, they did a number on us. In the United States, women couldn't even buy property on their own in the 70s. And that wasn't very long ago because I was alive. And so, you think about that. And you think about the fact that I talk about it in this way when you have children, and there are people that tell their children, don't go in the refrigerator, ask me first. Now, I was not that parent, because if I buy it, then they can eat it. I just wasn't that parent. And so, but I understand how that is because I've seen people that have done that. Their children are afraid to go in the refrigerator unless they ask. And so, this is the conditioning that women have had, afraid to step out and do the things that you're being called to do, not remembering who it is that you are, who God created you to be, source, the universe, whatever you want to call him, her, or them. But you have to remember, and a part of this workshop is giving you that freedom, giving you that permission that you can do and be and have whatever it is that you desire. And what I realize is from my own experience and others' experiences, the moment that you stop asking for permission from your culture, from your family, from partners, from old identities, and begin granting it to yourself, oh my God, that is so huge because you'll begin to step into the timeline of being the woman that you see yourself. We all have timelines that we like to be in. And here's something that I learned recently, and I didn't really learn it, I just remembered it. That lack, there is no lack. And so as you begin to step into this, in this workshop, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be reclaiming who we are. We're going to help you to dissolve the outdated identities that you've outgrown. There are so many. I can say that as a mother, um, raising my children, I have three children, two that I birthed. And as I raised them to know who they are. And I'm really proud of myself because I was a young mother. So my children are all grown. I have a 15-year-old grandson, and my husband and I together have seven grandkids and one on the way. So, I realize that, but I'm so proud of myself that I put that in them. Now, do they always walk in it? Probably not. Probably not. But I was proud that I was able to see that and to put that in them. It's something about that. And to let them know that, they can move forward. They can remember who they are. And so as we do that, we're going to reclaim the parts of yourself that you've abandoned to survive. We're going to awaken the desires that you've been taught to mute. Also, help you step into midlife as a portal, not a decline. Because so many of us look at midlife as, okay, the glass half empty. But I like to look at it as the glass half full. Well, maybe I'm delusional, but I consider it magical because I like to see the glass half full. There's so much more in this life that I want to do, and I'm over 50. But it's so much more, so much more. I have so many goals and things that I want to do and that I want to share. And then at the end of it, you're going to anchor your new identity because I have a meditation for that. And I'm so super excited about this workshop. It is happening Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, and it is an hour and a half. Typically, the workshop usually goes about an hour, maybe a little bit more. And, I leave time for questions. So if you guys don't have as many questions, then we won't be there as long. However, I wanted to make sure that this is something that you can feel, because many times we do workshops and we've gone to workshops. I went to one recently and it wasn't something I could feel, and that is to me, that is the most amazing thing. And I understand because especially we're doing it on Zoom. So you sign up, you'll get your Zoom link. Let me put this thing in the comments while I am talking so you can get that. But yes, and it's so wonderful. And I love doing workshops because I love the teaching. I do. It is just, I think that is like in me and it's something that I am um, supposed to do in this life. All right, so the link is here. That is the link. And I would love it if you ladies would share this out with some people that you know need to be there. It is a free workshop. And I'm really doing it because my heart is in this. I want to see women thriving. I want to see women beyond surviving. I want women to be in beautiful relationships, magical relationships, because I myself am in one. And I want women to be there. I want women to be at a place where they're not losing themselves to relationships. Because that's what we do, y'all. A lot of times we lose ourselves to relationships. And so I want to make sure that you are being released from that, or that you're releasing that you're reclaiming identities that serve you and releasing the ones that don't. And I say this because I have children that are grown. And so there was a point in time where I had to release them as children and recognize them as the adults that they are. And yes, they will always be my children, but they're not children. They are adults with real lives, real problems, real issues, real situations. And so there was a point where I had to really, release that, because I still, I feel connected. I was young when I started having kids. I was 21 when I had my first and 22 when I had my second. And I was done. And then I got the third one, God sent him. So anyway, so I'm just super excited about this workshop, and I want to make sure that you are aware that I'm doing it. Of course, I've been posting to let people know and sharing, but I wanted to just come on here and do this live and talk to y'all about this workshop and the ones that I'm going to be doing. So I want you to make sure that you continue to follow this space. And if you want to reach out to me, my details are somewhere on this page. You can reach out. I have a chat as well. So yeah, so I'm super excited about that and hoping to see all of you. And if you're not following me on YouTube, make sure you follow me there. And I'm Intuitive Tammy on YouTube as well. But make sure you check that out because that has all the spaces. My podcast actually originates here, but it is also on YouTube, but it originates right here. So I would love for you to check that out because I post new episodes every Friday, and then I do a solo episode at some point in the week. Usually, I think I try to get it out on Sunday or Monday. It doesn't always happen, but it does happen. So Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for joining me, and make sure that you click the link if you can come in and sign up for Permission Revoked, a midlife reset, because that is what it is. Because this is the time for women where we shine. This is the time where we are beginning to hold our own. We are stepping into places, spaces, and timelines that didn't used to have us. You are so welcome, Sheila. Thank you for joining. You're so welcome. And, but it's that time. And so I'm passionate about that. This workshop is monthly. I'm doing one tomorrow, Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, but it is monthly. So you can actually sign up for another month if you decide to. Right now, I have like 3 months up because, we got to see how this goes. But we're going to have a wonderful time. We're going to do some work. So it's not just me talking and, sitting here and yelling at you and, none of that. It's going to be interactive. So come and join us tomorrow. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope that you guys have a magical, magical day as I plan to. I am going to the swimming pool at some point in this day, which is my happy place. So again, thank you so much for joining. Bye now.